All right, well, welcome to the Wednesday afternoon meditation session. And today, as I was trying to get ready for this and think about what I wanted to talk about, I really wanted to. I had a lot of things on my mind, but one of the things that came up is I had a conversation this morning in the meditation session I had with one person who came to my session this morning. And she talked to me a little bit about the value of meditation. But what she talked about specifically, which I thought was kind of interesting, was her idea that in her family and in her, they've always had what she referred to as they've been volatile emotionally. And then as we talked a little more, I think what she was really saying to me was that she's grown up and lived in her family when she was a kid growing up has always been a very emotionally reactive family. And so she tends to react very quickly to things as they happen. And she had this incident that she kind of talked to me about where she was feeding her dog and the dog needed medicine and special food because he's older. And, she kind of tripped and dropped everything and it splattered all over the floor and she kind of lost it. It didn't sound like in a big way, but frustration, stress, all of those things kind of came out in the morning. And, as we talked about it, we started to talk about the idea of awareness, of trying to A, slow down, and B, just to be aware of what your mind and your thinking and your emotions are doing, to be able to see them and to slow them down. And the idea of even sort of becoming meditative within the moment. And what I said I meant by that, and I think it's a good way to think about it, is just to stop yourself, take a deep breath, just focus on your breath, just I said for 15 seconds, 30 seconds, slow everything down, be able to see it. So rather than be reactive, which is, as she was putting it, her own nature, was to be responsive to it, to sort of say, okay, this happened. I feel frustrated. I feel stressed. I said, address your own feelings, but then rather than letting them take you away, to allow yourself to be able to maintain some control over it and just sort of engage in, okay, I just have to do this, slow everything down, try to feel comfortable inside of the discomfort, which is something I've been talking about to people, the idea of feeling comfortable in your own discomfort, that when uncomfortable things happen, accept them, that they're okay, be comfortable with that they happen to everybody, slow yourself down, and kind of go from there. And it was interesting because she said that that was helpful for her. And she says, I know you always say that this is not therapy. She goes, but it sometimes feels that way. And I said, well, that's okay. I said, think about it not as therapy, but as your own way of being therapeutic for yourself. And I said that's really a better way to think about it because it's definitely not therapy, and that's not what it's designed to be. But it can be therapeutic in the sense of allowing yourself to just sort of stop before you proceed. And so we kind of talked about that a little bit, and then we went on and sort of went from there. So I was thinking a lot about that today, and so I thought I'd just sort of share that experience with everybody. So with that, we'll begin the meditation. Let me start my clock here. All right. All right. All right. So as we begin today, everybody just sort of get themselves settled, and to get settled in your seat, wherever you're sitting, in your house, on your bed, on the floor, whatever's comfortable for you. Relax your body and work for a moment to just sort of slow your mind down. And do that by just kind of following your breath. Set a pace with your breath and try to match the movement in your mind with the movement of your breath. And by matching those things, by sort of pairing them up, almost seeing them as dancing to the music of your breath with your mind. Just slow everything down and slowly come and breathe, breathing in and breathing out. And remember to use your breath as your centering device. Use your breath to allow you to kind of be centered. If your mind starts to wander, if your mind starts to race, any of those things, just come back to your breath to center yourself and slow yourself down, and to be comfortable with that. So that if you start to lose your focus, if you start to wander, if you start to, just sort of feel like you're losing your sense of being in the present moment, just recognize, be aware, and come back to it to restart over. And I think that is a way to just settle yourself. And as we sit and as we follow our breath, settle yourself into your chair, feel the chair, feel the pressure of your body on the chair, the cushiony chair, the hard chair, the floor, your mat, whatever it is you might be sitting on, and feel those as you are sitting there. And focus on your senses and your sensations. So recognize where your chair and your body are touching. Recognize how that feels, the pressure, the sensation. Follow your body a little bit as you do that. Try to find the places in your body where you might be feeling some amount of holding. And by holding, what I mean is that you might be holding emotions or thoughts or fears or anxieties or things that are just there, that just sort of happen during the course of the day. And that you can recognize where those things show up in your body. And as they show up in your body, just try to recognize them and try and relax those parts of your body. I know for me, my neck and my shoulders are places where I sometimes hold on to things. My lower back is another place that I hold on to things. And sometimes I can feel almost like electrical impulses in my stomach and my abdomen when I feel stress and my anxiety rise, or I feel very rushed that I have to get somewhere, I'm running behind. I notice that's a place where it is. So we want to try to recognize those things. I think of those things in our body sometimes as an early warning system. They're telling us that, not that something is wrong, but that there's something that we're holding or that's there or that's gnawing at us, that's kind of just beneath the surface and it's showing up there. And sometimes if we focus on those parts, if we pay attention to them, if we hold on to them, and we can consciously try to relax those parts of our body, we can feel the change physiologically, but sometimes it releases whatever it is we're holding so that it allows us to see it. So allow that process just to happen. And we never want to push the process. We never want to reach for what it is. We're not trying to find it. We're trying to allow it to arise. It's almost like you're a flower in the window and it's been cloudy all day, or a plant in the window and you're cloudy all day, and the plant's leaves are kind of droopy and faded away, and all of a sudden the sun comes out, and without thinking, without conscious effort, you move towards it because it was what you needed. And so in this way you move towards it because it's what you needed. You needed the ability to be able to open up, to let go, to just let it come and be forth. And if you have that happen, if you can see that, whatever arises, just accept. as what you were holding. Perhaps it's some anger or frustration or stress. Perhaps it's excitement. Doesn't really matter what it is. Just let it be there and look at it and examine it and in some ways embrace it as part of something that was in you. But as you do that, it's important not to define yourself with it. So as you see it, and perhaps you give thought to it or focus on it, especially if it's emotion that we see as negative or hindering us in some way, we don't want to claim it as a definition of ourselves. So if you're feeling frustration, you don't think that I am frustrated, but that I'm experiencing some frustration. Frustration is arising in me. Frustration is there. It doesn't define us. It doesn't tell us who we are. But we recognize it's a part of what we are feeling. And it will go. It will move away because nothing that we experience is permanent. It's all moving and changing. Even if we feel frustration today and tomorrow, that frustration is different. It's a different experience. We experience it differently. It may feel the same in our body, but it is from different causes, different reasons. It's a different moment in time. It's always shifting. And so we just allow that process to occur. And we see it. We lay it out on the table. We look at it. We spin it around. I always like to think of it as something we spin around and get a 365 degree or 360 degree view of it. And then we take a breath. We center ourselves. We slow our mind down. And we let it fade. It's as if we're sitting at a campfire on a cool evening, maybe in early autumn, and the temperature has dropped. It's gone from a warm day and now it's cool, and you can feel the crispness in the air. You can feel it on your fingers, almost tingling at the end. And you can feel it on your skin. You put on a sweatshirt to insulate yourself, and you could feel the warmth of the sweatshirt in your body as you warm up. And we have a fire in front of us, and we put our hands over the fire, and we feel that fire. And we feel the heat move from the fire through our hands and through our bodies. And we watch the smoke arise. The wood burning, we hear the crackling sound. We see the wood go from its brownish, woody color, light tan, however you envision a bunch of sticks and little logs that are in the fire. And they start to turn black from the fire. They actually are in an active form of transformation. And the smoke arises. And so we can see the warmth and the heat as our breath, the consistency of it, the tingling of it. And we can see what it opens up in the wood is the wood lets off steam and smoke, water vapor, the wood burning, the transformation. And so our thoughts can be like the smoke. We free them up with the fire. We free them up with our breath. And we allow those things to rise, to slowly rise. And what happens to the smoke? It's at first can be dense, perhaps gray or white or some combination of gray or white. And it rises up. And as it rises up, we see it. And as the thoughts rise up, we see them. But the wood lets go of that. And the fire lets go of that. And it dissipates and floats up into the air. And so too our thoughts can mimic that process. and do the same thing. And as we watch the smoke rise and go, we watch our thoughts rise and go. And our breath and our focused attention acts as the fire in our bodies, opening that up, transforming that, letting it float away slowly. And as we sit, we come back to our breath and we breathe in and we breathe out. And we feel the sensations around us. We feel the imagined heat from the fire that we have set. We feel the crispness of the air and the contrast. And so we experience both the cold and the warmth at the same time as they mix together. And so we experience our thoughts and our emotions and our bodily sensations as they too mix together. So in some ways, we have become the fireplace. We have become the fire pit. We are the burning logs. We are the wood. Our breath is the fire, and the smoke is our thoughts. And as we watch the fire, we see it as an observer. We don't think of the fire necessarily as something good or bad. We see the fire for what it is, heat that ignites. And that's how we experience it. And as we let those thoughts go, perhaps the wood gets lighter. Perhaps our own sense of discomfort and feeling unsettled also gets lighter. It rises off of us, and we allow it just to rise off of us. And so it does. And we sit, and the fire slowly burns out, and we choose not to feed it anymore. We choose to just let it go in its natural state. And it's a process that takes time. And we focus our attention on the fire. We watch it. We feel its heat. We see its color, perhaps orange, yellow. If it's hot enough, perhaps a blue flame. We watch it start to dissipate. We see the logs and the wood and the embers. They glow, almost like fireflies, as they fly past us. The wood, all of a sudden, sparking up and then receding. Perhaps a wind comes by, and the wind sort of ignites the embers a little bit. And perhaps the embers float up into the air, and we watch them dance, dancing in the air, like children dancing around the maypole, encircling it. And so the embers circle us. They circle the air, and they dissipate, and the lights shut off, and we can see the little black ashes as they come up. The wind blows them, and they're gone. They're gone from our perception for the moment. Much like our thoughts are gone, and our emotions move on, and our experience in life moves on, consistently moving forward. And the fire dies out, and now we can feel the cool air more intently, because we don't have the contrast of that warmth. And so we reach down and we grab our hats, put them on, keep our heads warm. We stand up from wherever we were seated, perhaps on the ground or in a chair or on a log or a rock. We stand up, we walk, and as we walk further from the fire, we notice that it appears darker. The light or the embers from the fire had given us light so we could see around us. But now we get swallowed a little in darkness. And we allow the darkness to just envelope us. And we don't think about it in a fearful way. We think about it in a way where we've lost somewhat the sense of our sight, but our other senses now seem to be ignited in a sense, amplified. So our hearing seems to be sharper. And perhaps in the distance we can hear the rustling of the trees from the wind. Perhaps we can hear some animals making noises in the background. Perhaps we can hear birds that are flying or movement. And emotions arise. Uncertainty perhaps arises at this time. And we breathe in and out to slow our thinking down and to slow our minds down. And we settle ourselves and we let that uncertainty just float away. We remember we have a flashlight with us. And so since it's dark now, we turn the flashlight on and we look around and we can see more. And a feeling of being settled and comfort comes over us. The flashlight gives us visual awareness, and we find that visual awareness comforting. We find it like a bit of a security blanket in us. And so we allow that blanket to envelope us. We hold on to the flashlight. We feel its rough edge. We feel its weight in our hands. We feel its beam as it shines out on our path as we are heading back to our homes or our cars, wherever we were from the darkness. We feel our steps, but we stop for a moment. We look at the sky, and we recall that when we first came out, there were very few, if any, stars in the sky. It was only twilight, not really dark yet. But the time we've spent, the sun has set further, and night has really fallen. And with night, the stars have arisen. And so we recognize that as conditions change in the external world, our senses see and experience different things in our internal world. And so that is a lot of how we think about our own worlds as the conditions change in our own external world. Relationships, news, accidents, loss, that internally we are impacted. And so we see that connection. The darkness, the stars come out. The sun rises, the stars disappear, the sky turns blue. We feel a sense of frustration because perhaps an external event has occurred. You can't find your car keys. You feel something rise. You forgot to pick up milk at the supermarket on the way home. Feelings arise. And so we recognize our interconnectedness to all things. And we recognize that we are not alone, nor are we necessarily separate from anything, but we are living and existing and experience an interconnected experience. Other people, environments, conditions, weather, chairs, logs that are burning. We're all somehow connected and part of it. And so we get back to our homes. We sit perhaps in our favorite chair in comfort. We settle in. We slow our minds. We slow our thought process. We meditate for a few moments in silence, just focusing on our breath. And so we breathe in and we breathe out. We breathe in and we breathe out. We breathe in and we breathe out. And namaste, may the light in me shine in you.